real estate has been great to me, and I love real estate. I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't know what else I would do in this world without real estate. I'm so forever grateful. But it's leading me up to something bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what yet. I don't know where that's going to take me, but I know there's a bigger calling for me in life. And that's the purpose that I'm pursuing right now and searching for. And the more I lean on my faith, the more it feels right of where I need to be. Like that's like just the emotion I feel in my cheeks when they bubble up. My eyes will water. It's just, I just feel at home. I feel safe. And it's practicing that the word. And it's because that word and helping others and forgiving and loving, that's the legacy that gets left behind. No one gives a shit that you came in first. No one cares that you've sold hundreds of homes. Who cares? Because I don't care anymore.
Welcome, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for making the journey from the Great White North all the way to Durham region.
It's a trek.
Yes. I wanted to first, I know you just went on a really amazing experience. So
I did.
Before we start like with the long drive you've just had and the chaos, I want to take a moment and have you just kind of relax and chill, take a deep breath, and when you have something in your mind or a thought of gratitude, I'd love for you to just share like what comes to your heart, what comes to your mind of something that you're really grateful for.
First thing that just popped in my mind was just sitting in this seat right now, being here, being present, and being called to be able to get on stage and speak. So if it's a podcast or if it's a stage, but today it's a podcast, just to be able to be here, share my story and share my insights.
I love it. Thank you. And that's what the whole vision is for this. It's called Real Stories. And I want people to feel comfortable and in a space where they can authentically share the story. It doesn't have to be about real estate.
Perfect.
Just so happens that that's what we're connected through.
Agreed.
However, this is about like the authentic journey that we're all on. And I'm hopeful to get to a place of comfort. We get to hear yours. The reason I asked you to come to be one of our first guests here is because of how authentic you show up and also how much you show up in a space of like loving others, doing things in a big, bold way. And so I'd love to just intro you, like your bio, and then I want you to just brag about yourself. You know, I want people to hear about your team, what you're up to. And so I'm going to share formally.
Okay.
And then I'm going to have you share. But
Awesome.
Don't hold back. I want
Okay.
people to really know.
Give it.
All right. So Jay McNabb is the dynamic co-owner of the Toro Group, which is a leading real estate team based in Barrie, Ontario. His journey in real estate started at the age of 21 when he purchased, renovated, and sold his first condo for a profit.
Correct.
This early success ignited his passion for real estate, leading him to earn his license in record time, and then he partnered with Matthew Klonowski from the Toro Group. Together, they've built this powerhouse team known for their motto, all hustle, no bull. They were the number one group for units sold at Keller Williams Experience in Barrie in 2024, and number 7 for units in all of KW Canada, as well as number, what did we say? 16, sorry. 16 for GCI, and that's gross commission earned for Keller Williams Canada as well. And beyond professional achievements, I think that what's really exciting about the way that you guys operate is it's about your deep commitment to each other and the community that you live in and serve. You were born in Barrie. You understand the challenges that many face in the local community, and you and your team, you recently did one. I saw it on the news. Yep. You guys hold initiatives to support those in needs, like handing out hot meals on Easter Sunday, free haircuts to local shelters. You've done a ton of stuff with Youth Haven. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on and on, always a touch of love amongst the grit. And I love that. But really what's most inspiring is your real authentic self and your real story, and having faced and overcome some significant challenges in your youth. you said you attribute your resilience and your success to your faith and your dedication and your personal growth that's gone on as a result of that. And you prepare now for an upcoming wedding.
Yes.
And I'm so excited for you guys. And I would love for you to reflect as we discuss today on your path, your insights, and all of the stories you're willing to share that you've learned along the way. But first, I want you to just brag a little bit about what I didn't touch on.
You touched on quite a bit. So getting into the real estate, we can bring it back. I come from a marketing background, so that's what I went to school for, business marketing, came out, worked for a big company, ultimately doing their marketing reports, analysis, and I was just behind the computer. And I can still remember, and it actually brought back a flashback when I was just using the coffee maker out there, because I can remember being in my office. They bought this brand new coffee maker that was like $10,000. And I remember being like the new guy there. And it was like, are we keeping him or are we keeping the coffee maker? So I ended up getting let go from that job. Looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And that's when I went and interviewed for a builder. So I went out and worked, if anybody's familiar with Horseshoe Valley Resort. I went out and worked there. I had no real estate experience at the time, landed the interview, worked directly in-house for the builder, and ended up selling both of the condo buildings on my own. So that really stuck with me. I'm like, I got something. I can do this. And that's kind of what really got me into the sales of real estate. Ultimately then showing up for a development meeting again, they had nothing left for me to sell. And they said, Mr. McNabb, can you turn in your phone and turn in your laptop? So again, relieved from that job as well. I'm like, what's kind of next? And this is when I looked to my partner, Matthew, and he's like, come work for me. So I went and worked on the Matthew Klonowski real estate team, started trading as an agent. So I joined a team, learned all the processes and systems. I was very good at memorization, and it stems back to when I was in school in grade 6, they found out I had a grade 3 reading level. So I was dyslexic. I had trouble in school, which resulted into me acting out, but it all stemmed from kind of reading. And then I had to memorize stuff. I had to memorize stuff to make sure I could protect myself when I was called on by the teacher, so I wouldn't feel the way I felt in school, less of a man, less as a human. And I was able to perform because I was prepared and I would memorize things. And how that's translated now when I worked on the team for Matthew as a sales agent is I was so good at inbound, outbound scripts, buyer presentation, listing presentation, and I just perfected everything even better than the master. And that's why I was able to go out and do 43 deals in my first year. And then my second year of real estate, I hit 1 million GCI on my own. And then that's when my partner came to me and he's like, man, I don't want to lose you. I want to partner with you. What can we do? And I said to him, and it's crazy, I said, with all due respect, I said, I want to put in another year. I want to make sure this isn't luck. And I went out there and I smashed it again, even more. And he's like, let's do this. And then that's when he dropped his last name. It's very important to him, right? It was the Klonowski real estate team, but he dropped that. It's no longer. And then that's when the Toro Group was born. And that's when we partnered up. And ever since then, we've now grew the team. I think we're at 15 agents, operations manager, admin, inside sales, full media team. And we're just rocking and rolling, loving what we're doing. And we're really seeing the huge growth, right? We're smashing numbers, but most importantly, all these stats and all these accolades are great. And I thought that's what I wanted in life, right? I thought I was chasing this number one, bleeding for this number one. Like I would have straight up died for the Toro Group. And when you say that the grit, right? Definitely have the grit, but I want to be leading with the love. And the grit got me to get the numbers and the accolades. But right now, I figured out over this journey, it's not my purpose. My purpose is helping other people achieve what they want to achieve. And me just staying tighter with the big man upstairs and walking that narrow road. And it can be lonely. But really just finding my peace, finding my stride, and really just moving in flow. And that's really where I am at right now. Everything else will come. When you do good to others, success will follow. And it's just something I strongly believe in is community, helping the little guy up, and, you know, never be scared to be bold, as you mentioned, right? Do things that are maybe not normal, shake the industry up a bit, but it's for the better.
Yeah.
It's for the better.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So in this journey of life so far, you've obviously explained the beginning of your partnership with Matthew and how you earned that and where you are now. Would you be okay taking us back to, you know, some of these struggles? Because people might look at you and like, he's fit and he's got this great team and this beautiful future wife. Like, I can never get there. So why don't you take us to like some of those moments in school where you couldn't read and the struggles that you had growing up, like just share the realness of what it was. For
sure. So even like we go back to school, right? Things weren't perfect. I was in a very disorganized household. My parents were divorced. My mom was going through some struggles. She's open about it now, but my mom went to jail. And she was gone for about 2 years of my life. And I was a mama's boy, right? I love my mom. And at that time, I then had to go back and live with my dad. And that was around 16 years old. So I'm starting to become this young man, and I'm knowing and seeing everything go on. And I'm like, this isn't right. My mom never had really that protector that I could be for her because I was too young. And I was just seeing how this was just so disorganized. And I had love. From my father, from my grandfather, rest in peace. He was like a second dad to me. But this was also leading to me having trouble in school. And I wanted to figure out how I could make money quickly because money was going to be able, in my mind, to be able to solve the problems, get my mom a house when she got out, be able to help my dad if I needed to financially. But it was a lot to be taking on when I look back at such a young age. And I was acting out in school. Like I was really good at sports and I was the athletic guy and I could get by doing that, but the academics weren't there. And it was causing, you know, fights at school. I was having to defend myself. I was always kind of the odd person out. And I was always, when I look back, searching for kind of a brotherhood that I never had. I didn't have siblings growing up and it was just me. So I was always trying to figure things out by myself. And just trying to search for where I belong kind of growing up. Into high school, again, I was kicked out of high school at an early age, had to go to another high school, kicked out of that high school. So I didn't even end up finishing my grade 12. And then I had to go to kind of an adult learning center to finish off my grade 12. So schooling was never my thing. It was very hard for me to get through. And what got me through schooling was sports and kind of that team atmosphere, because that's what made me feel at home when I was competing, when I had that sense of collaborative effort from everybody, I felt at home. And that's what really kept me through school. And I take a lot of things from being on teams, playing high competitive sports.
What was your sport?
AAA baseball.
Okay.
So I was really good at baseball. I played rep hockey, played on the basketball team at school all the way up since grade 4, volleyball all the way up since grade 4. I ran track. I was first place for high jump all the time. I was a very good jumper. So I just felt that's really what kept me through. With all the chaos and everything that was going on kind of at home, that kind of gave me clarity and it gave me peace to just try to get through it. So I ended up finishing school, did take some time off school, and then I went back to college. When I went back to college, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out my life, right? So I talk to a lot of youth right now that are in their early 20s and they're trying to figure out what is that next step? What do they want to do? Where do they want to go? I always suggest business. If usually the semester of business in college, it gives you an array of things that you can kind of try. If that's marketing, if that's accounting, and then you can kind of figure out what angle you want to go. So I started with business, And I really gravitated towards the marketing side. And then that's how I got into marketing. At this time too, I saved up all my money and I paid for school myself. Because I paid for school myself, I really had something to prove. And I ended up with an 89.7 average across the board. So I had straight A's across the board. I represented Georgian College in the Ontario College Marketing Competition. I went and pitched for them against all the other colleges around Ontario, and I came second. It was kind of like a Dragon's Den pitch. So what that really did for me was help me with my confidence in the aspect of I can do the academics when I really put my mind to it. I'll be slower. It will take me a lot more time and I'll have to put a lot more effort in it, but I could do it. So that's what's really helped me even in business today is I can do all these things and I can compete with the smartest people. I just might do it a different way.
And that's a drastic difference to your academics prior to you paying for it and applying yourself.
Exactly.
Interesting. I find that really fascinating. Do you think having to kind of put something up front monetarily for you changed the way you looked at it?
And that's a great question too. And I've been working with my coach, my life coach on this type of stuff to really think. And that's probably that scarcity mindset that I had that, growing up, I had to hoard money and I had to really save for a rainy day because I was so scared of the rug always getting pulled up from under me that I would always want something to fall back on. So probably that money subconsciously, because it was all I had, was I knew I had to make it work.
Yeah, I can see that. So in the insights of coming out of the marketing career, did you transition right from this start in marketing and then go into real estate? What was that transition like?
Perfect. So got out of school during school. So I was actually, so I did a co-op. It was for Ledbetter's Steak. So I was actually driving around all of Ontario in a little Cobalt with my barbecue in the back of the car. And I would set up in front of all these grocery stores, different locations, and I'd basically be barbecuing steak, handing out steak samples, talking, mingling with clients. And that's what I liked. I liked the belly to belly interaction. So I really actually enjoyed that job. And I was making great money for that time at that age that it was just, I loved it. And it taught me the skill. Okay, this is kind of what I want to do, something marketing wise with this. Finished school, and then I obviously kind of got stuck behind the computer, and that kind of wasn't fitting with me well. But that's kind of where it evolved, and then it turned into me getting this job for the developer out in Horseshoe Valley. That ultimately, I'm like, I love real estate.
Mm-hmm. And you touched on in the very early beginning of talking about, your purpose and everything. At what point did you feel this like deeper earning or connection to God or wake up call, like your walk in faith? What happened? Was there something that led you there? You and I were going to have a private conversation about this, but here we go.
I feel, I'm not going to go too deep, but it was a point in my life when my back was against the wall and I was alone. And when you're alone and you're like just really feeling like there's no way out, like how can you do this? That's just really when I leaned, right? So I grew up in a Protestant family. So we believed in God, but there was nothing ever forced, like you have to go to church or you have to dress this way, you have to read the Bible every night. But I always believed in God. And I would say in my, probably at age 25, I decided myself to become a born again Christian. And that's when I found faith. I really reached out. I had the support systems to help me. And my pastor, Craig, brought me to the Mapleview Community Church. And I've been going there ever since. And it's just became a tight-knit family. And that's kind of really where I'm at with my faith right now. I'm constantly learning every day, growing. The road gets thinner and thinner, smaller and smaller as you walk this path. But I always know it's the path I need to be on. And it brings me goosebumps and stuff because you have to just surrender, right? And it was kind of masking, always putting on this armor and pushing stuff down. And we do that as men a lot. And we try to, we don't want to talk about stuff. We don't want to get into our emotions. And that was probably something I was doing kind of my whole life, with dealing with my family, dealing with my own stuff going on. And I'm just trying to like really push it down and mask over this armor above it that it can't affect me. But ultimately, when you go deep and you do some deep digging, there's stuff there that you got to go back and you got to face. And that's just, it was shit that I had to face. And I looked it in the eye and I'm like, you know what, we're going to get through this. And I just leaned on the big man upstairs, and he's with me every day.
It's really fascinating to hear you say that and, witness in your actions. Cause I say like love is an action. I believe God is love, and he came to love us unconditionally, no matter what we do. So sometimes there's this whole thought on Christians and how they have to be perfect or this or that. And that's not actually it at all. When you're born again, you actually believe that God loves you unconditionally.
100%.
And I'm just so curious because I can tell in your voice, like you for sure believe. I just know.
No doubt.
And so can you share a bit of how that belief and guidance helps you in your personal life, your professional life? Like, how does it change things for you?
Perfect. I would definitely say, like, Jesus, to be able to forgive everyone for what was done to him, it's absolutely mind-boggling. So if I can do this much of that, I'm moving in the right direction. And it's forgiving. It's letting go. It's being vulnerable. Humility. And loving. Like that's just what I want to really practice and practice and practice every day, which I have been. And it's a work, right? It's just like, like with the reps, the muscles, it's these small muscle that you just got to keep working. You got to keep working. You got to keep working. And that's how it relates to my business, because when times are tough, that's when I'll crank on some, some happy worship music. And I fall back in that, and I just get into that peace, right? Where I want to be. And it's the reminder of, no, it's okay. Nobody's doing this to me. Nobody's attacking me. Nobody's trying to take something from me. And when I can now come out of a place of, why are they acting that way? Maybe they're that hurt little boy or that hurt little girl. Maybe I can be curious of what they're doing, and I don't need to take their shit. I don't need to put that on to me. I can maybe now be curious and maybe help them with something and really turn it around, right? Just even before I was even coming down here, I had another test that happened even on the way. And that was, I was dealing with somebody, and he was a builder, and I'm not going to say the company's name. And it was just, didn't have the integrity. Okay. I was promised something that was supposed to be done, and this has happened to be for a year on my house, right? And it's chaos, and it's supposed to be done, and I was promised something. And I'm a huge believer on integrity. I don't just write it on my vision board or just say it in my values. No, that's who I am. I'm very integral. And this gentleman didn't practice that. He might say he does have integrity. He doesn't. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I actually called a good buddy of mine as I was coming down here, because we're both doing the work together. And what I mean by doing the work, we dig deep and we just really focus on our inner peace. And he's like, Jay, the reason you're in that 1% and the way you're moving like you're moving, shaking like you're shaking, is because you have these gifts that some people just don't have. And then you have these expectations that everybody's going to have integrity, but they don't. So that's your advantage. That's your secret sauce. So you should even be more happier, put another notch on your belt, say, hey, there's another person that doesn't have it. You're at least living up to it. And you are where you are. You're doing what you're doing. The numbers are doing what they're doing, is because you have integrity. Yeah. So be appreciative for that and just keep doing that. And don't be upset that other people aren't running at your speed. And that was, again, another test. So there's constantly these tests happening. And I always just try to either bring myself back to the faith, or I bring myself back to the people that are on the same path that we can collaboratively talk, and then we just get over it and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds a lot like it's kind of a quick forgiveness.
Yep.
And like you said before, Jesus did that. He forgave us, and you're on that path, right? Following in that. It's a narrow walk. It really is. And I get what you're saying. So hats off to you for walking in that, because it's not easy when somebody does something that's not right. You just want to like let them have it. And you could.
100%. And that's me giving away the power again, right? And that's something that, again, those are the small reps that I'm just working on all the time, just really protecting that peace and being in my flow, because I'm good. I'm happy. You know what I mean? I'm grooving. I have a beautiful fiance. I have an amazing team. I'm healthy. I have my parents. I have everything I could have asked for. And that's why I know my purpose. And by me knowing my purpose, I don't need to seek pleasure or drift off left and right. I'm really just dialed in right now.
And I love talking the other day, you were sharing a bit about, it's so important because we live in this fast-paced world. It's not just real estate. It is like 10 times the speed it used to be. Time is going by quickly. New things happen. You try and absorb it. We're all on this like fast-paced marathon that just never ends. And so I loved what you said. You went away on this retreat, and I'd love to hear a little bit of like how important it is when we're on this journey to actually take time and do the inner work.
Exactly.
Or work with other people. Do you want to share something?
Yeah, 100%.
About that?
I'd love to share about that retreat. So about a year ago, I started doing the deep inner work with one of my life coaches. Okay. And it was deep. Like this was stuff that, we were getting into like some breath work sessions, like digging deep. And I'll start with the breath work, like any type of like breath work or journaling or anything like that. If you had to ask me 2 years ago, I would have been like, that's whack. I have a black coffee and I kick it in 6th gear and let's rock and roll. But I was open-minded. I said, I need to let go that ego, whatever's trying to keep me safe, whatever's holding on, why I think that, and I let that go. And it was the best thing that I kind of let go, because then I could really dig deep into who I am. What are my feelings? How do I feel? And that's when I really did the deep inner work. So that was working with the coach, really getting deep down, like one breathwork session I did, it literally locked my hands like this. I had like the lobster claws, probably, I don't know how that works, but my hands were locked. I was so scared. I keep breathing through it. And we were just like doing time travel. And I just went back and I just, saw that little boy, growing up and, just being able to go back and being like, bro, it's going to be okay. And just like making peace with everything, and then letting that go, and then just kind of moving on from that, not forgetting, but moving on from that and being like, I'm good and we're good. So I've been doing stuff like that. I've been journaling. I journal every day. I really write down my thoughts, and then communicating. So by doing like this inner work and, checking in. So if anybody doesn't have a coach or they want to be getting involved, I strongly recommend, but find the right person, and be open. Right. I tried to like therapy before. Therapy wasn't really my thing. But I like the coach is kind of like therapy for me, because I think that relates to my sports background. I love a coach. I love a coach that knows how to get there. I love a coach that's played in the championship or won a Stanley Cup, that knows how to get there. I respect that. And I'll listen. I'm the type of person, you tell me it's ABC, you're going to get ABC, and I'll do the work. So I was doing the work. And what that led up to was this year, me getting invited on this retreat. This isn't just a retreat that's opened up to, hey, sign up, come to a retreat. These were 8 men from this program that have been putting the inner work into themselves, to work their way up to what was going to happen on this retreat. So what was going to happen on this retreat, and I'm going to get into it now, was some deep shit. It was some stuff that I wasn't ready for. And I kind of blocked it out but I'm going to be open with it. But I just sometimes don't like knowing stuff because it really boggles my brain. That's why I don't listen to the news and I don't listen to everything. I just kind of stay in my lane and I only consume what I want to consume. So I wasn't really paying attention to what we were going on this retreat. In my head, what I thought I was doing, I'm like, yeah, it's a retreat. I'm going to, just unwind. We got massages, cold plunge, sauna, some workouts, good meals, rock and roll. But this shit got deep, and it got deep quick. So we landed. It was a 5-night retreat, and I went in there with an open mind. But there was some mention of plant medicine that I was like strictly against. Again, I blocked myself out of that. I'm like, nope, not doing that. Not my thing. And as time went on, got, familiar with the group of gentlemen there. And we got talking, and phones are off. There's no alcohol, anything, no devices. It's strictly us men going deep, not knowing exactly what we're doing, just knowing the coach is going to bring us to the edge. And what that edge meant, there was some gentlemen there that were super worried. Like if you're a person or a personality that you need to know everything and need to have, you're fucked.
It's not going to work for you.
So again, letting go, right? So we showed up there, beautiful accommodations. My coach comes from a hospitality background, so the way he curated this program was absolutely exceptional. Hands down. We got there, and then it was just getting deep. We had so many deep conversations. I never cried so much and laughed so much at the same time. Wrote so much, like all the journaling and processing and the integration after everything. It was just life-changing in that aspect alone. To be able to see other men out there to become better fathers, better husbands, better business leaders. It's truly inspiring, because if anybody's even watching this or listening to this right now and you're thinking, shit, maybe I need that. I want to take it to that next level, or I want to get there. Like, there are people out there doing the work. You just need to find that tribe. And it was just super eye-opening to be able to have these conversations and just give deep, and just, they were so meaningful. I never know when I was out with a group of even my friends that I go out for a dinner and you're just having such in-depth conversation that it just feels so good for your heart. Like, we were going out for dinners and we're just having these beautiful conversations, no alcohol involved, nothing. Great times. Going to a beach club on our last day, again, having the best time ever, so much laughs, and no alcohol involved. Because when I look at like traveling with friends and stuff like that, there's, it always creeps in there somehow. Yeah. And again, that just opened my eyes to, there's just so much beauty in life. And it's really the people that you're around are so special. And when you find those people, hold on to them. So it's just, we're all moving in the same direction. And that's what we did. So to kind of get into some stuff we did, would you like to hear about that?
I'd love to. Yeah, I'm curious now.
Okay. So one thing that we did, everything's led with intention. Leading up to everything, again, you're either, you're talking about it, how it's going to work, big ceremony space, big safe space, and it's all contained. So the first thing that we ended up doing, it was a full body cleanse, and it's called Cambo. And what Cambo is, they call it like the Amazon vaccine. It's a tree frog from the Amazon that they get the venom from. And what they do with this venom, I don't know if you can see here, but I have on my arm, there's about 5 dots. You see those scars right there?
Yeah.
So what they do with that is now you're all in a circle. Everything's getting cleansed, cleaned, breathwork sessions happening. And what we're going to do is we're going to cleanse the body. And there's so much peptides in this medicine that it can heal stuff that you don't even know that needs to be healed. You're going to release blockages, bad energy, stuff from the bottom of your gut that could have been sitting there. It's all going to come out. So you drink about 2 glasses, I call them bigger than glasses, but about 2 things of water like that. They burn you 5 times with the stick, and then they put the the venom on these 5 dots. And then literally within 5 seconds, you just start feeling warm, tingly, and then boom, you just start purging. So you purge up anything in you, that negative energy, those toxins in your body. You can clean your liver, your gallbladder, like everything that comes up is you're releasing. So we did a full release of that. And like, if you could picture food poisoning, but food poisoning times 10.
Yeah.
So I was dying, probably dying. I said, coach, like, you trying to kill me? So that happened.
Wow.
Felt amazing after. Again, I didn't want to do this. I was so close-minded to it, but I'm so grateful I got to experience that, because I took the body to the edge. And how I was able to get there to take the body and the mind to the edge because of all these things of not letting go. I want to have control. I'm not going to have control of this. What can I do? Is I leaned into my faith.
Yeah.
I remember being down there with my ear pods in, and I'm bumping Christian music just in my zone. These guys are doing breath work and I'm just vibing. I'm like, God, we doing this. So again, I trusted, I leaned in, and I'm super grateful that I did that experience, because it was testing. I can do those things. Right. And what that does for us in business, it shows us, like, what are you going to do? Walk away from that next deal just to protect your ego? Or are you going to surrender and go for it? And these little things are what I've been training the mind to, and I'll get through some other things I did of how we can take that next big deal, how we're going to close that 20 million, that 40 million, or you can just walk away, or how do we get that to the edge?
Yeah.
So the next thing what we did right after this, we get up, we integrate, right? We talk about everything that just happened, whatnot. We have a beautiful private chef there. We're, fueling our bodies back up. And then an instructor sits down and he's like, okay, we're going to be taking you guys out. We're doing an excursion today and we're going free diving in the water. So I'm just like, I just looked over at the coach, I remember, and being like, brother, I would never do this. I don't Scooby-Doo dive. I don't do none of that stuff. But I'm like, at this point, I'm like, you just basically killed me. So let's go. And so we went free diving. Amazing coach. He actually just trained, and they were just shooting a day before the Mission Impossible 2 trailer. So I was with the best coaches to be able to do this. So I felt very safe. And we were in a cenote. So nice minerals and everything replenishing the body, which was absolutely beautiful. And just being in the water after, taking part in almost dying and purging, I felt free and floating. And it was it's so weird how this was what I needed as well, and not knowing. And then I went down 30 feet on one breath.
Wow.
So again, like learning how to like pop my ears as I go down, and I went down and I was just at peace in the water. Something I would have never done, never even thought about doing if I wasn't in the space to be able to do that. So doing that, again, pushing it to the edge, so proud of myself for doing that, knowing that I could take the body, take the mind to the next level. So that was amazing, and that was cool. And then the last day we did, I could get the pronunciation wrong here. It's like Tal Mezcal, or it's basically like a Mexican sweat lodge that they do ceremonies with out in the forest. So you could picture it like a big pizza oven, and it was concrete. And then, so like an igloo, right? You only have a little door on the way in. They have a fire outside, and they're bringing in all these hot rocks, right? They bring in 4 at a time. So us 8 men are all in this little hut. Like, you can't stand up in this thing. It's about maybe 4 foot tall. Oh, wow. And there's a little fire pit in the middle that they're going to bring the rocks in. So they bring the rocks in. We're saying intentions of what we want to let go. What doesn't serve us? What do we want to let go? All the men are being vulnerable, saying what they want to let go. Then the curtain closes. It's pitch black, and they're beating the drum. Boom, boom, boom. And then they just start chanting. They start singing ritual songs. And you could picture a sauna, but times 10. Like, the skin is burning. And you're in there for about 20, 25 minutes. And then they'll let you out, quick water, and then you're back in. And you do that 4 rounds.
Wow.
So I think we were in a total just over an hour and a half that you're in there sweating out. And we made a pact that nobody's leaving. We said nobody's leaving. And we all made it through. There was some gentlemen, screaming And that's when the brothers came together, and then we chanted their name and we got them through it. It was just that warrior mentality that you have to fight. Like when you're that in there that long, the body is doing fight or flight. It's saying, get me out of here. Like, see how quickly I said that? I'm dying. How quickly I said that. So minutes of these intrusive thoughts, like, you got to get out. You got to move. All these thoughts that are going through my head that I have to battle, again, showing me the resilience of how I can now apply this to business and life is I can do that.
Yeah.
I can get over that. And it was just a huge release. When I came out of this, I was actually very emotional. I actually remember crying because I had nothing left. I remember there's a picture on my Instagram. If you actually zoom in my face, you're going to see what like nothing left in the tank has. My hands were going numb. You know, when you like, if you sit on your hand, it can make it tingly. I had that all the way up to my arms. There was nothing left in me. And I remember grabbing the elder coming out, and I couldn't get up, and they had to pull me up. I'm over 200 pounds. I'm a little bit, like, I'm not a small boy. And they had to get me up. They got me water and some fruits in me. But that again was pushing it to the edge. So I'm extremely grateful for the men that I met on this trip, because I call them my brothers now. The bonds and the conversations and the connections we shared. I haven't even shared that type of stuff with my best friends.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to even think about it. It's like, how can I have these conversations with strangers and I can't have these conversations with my inner friend group? That's when I realize right now the conversation needs to change.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to bring back. I don't want to have meaningless conversations. I think something I really dig for and I really appreciate, which I love about my fiance, is we have deep conversations. And they're so rewarding and fulfilling to really just go deep. And it's something now that I actually hold on to and I actually look for.
I love that. It's kind of like fluff.
Yep.
And that's just, I mean, there's a space for everything, but it feels like wasted space sometimes once you know how to have a deep, real conversation.
Yep.
And everything else just kind of feels surface level. It's a whole other layer. And if you have the right group of people, which it sounds like you've experienced on this retreat, you can't come out of that type of experience and go to fluffy conversations.
No, and that's exactly it. Like, and to that exact point, I can remember because we had one day on the beach after for some free time, like it was done. And I remember somebody sitting beside me and they were trying to kind of talk to me. And I just didn't even feel like talking because it was so fluffy and that's where it just brought me back to right now. And I think that's something my soul needs, even just talking about it. I really look for that. That's something that fulfills me because I know if we get deeper, we can now vibrate at a different level and we're going to help each other in ways we don't even know.
Yeah, it's true. And you're blessed to have come out of that with a realization that your fiance already has that about her, which is so good. Because I could imagine some people might come out and go, ooh, that relationship is not deep enough for me. How are we going to get there?
Exactly. There could be a divorce coming out for some people. They're my realization, but yeah.
I'm glad that didn't happen for you. I'd love to talk a little bit just about, how important or profound this change has been in you. Like you said, we need to talk about this right away.
Yep.
Can you explain how it feels, your purpose now, like what you feel you're being called to do? Because that has changed you.
It has 100%. So if you got me last year, again, back to the accolades and everything, I was going to die for the Toro Group. I was honestly going to die for that. When I say that, it might sound extreme, but that's the willingness and the extent I would take it because of my integrity and those core values that have just been instilled in me since I was such a young boy, that I was ready to put everything on the line. But when I start seeing deep into myself and I start seeing the people around, I was putting these expectations on everybody around me on the team and my business partner that they should also be performing at this level as well. And it was creating resentment. I was starting to resent people. I'm like, why can't they fire at this level? You've been in the business 16 years. Why aren't you firing at this level? And it was actually playing mind games on me. And I was starting to resent the people I love around me, which I'm like, why is this happening? And then I've really just kind of toned it down this year in the aspect of I'm good. Wherever we fall, because I want to compete on the Canada stage, right? So wherever we fall in the Canada stats, I'm good with. Obviously, I'm going to continue to work hard, continue to provide that 5-star service, but it's not just about coming in first place anymore for me. It's about enjoying the journey along the way, because I wasn't enjoying the journey last year and the year before. These were stuff that I was really ready and willing to put everything on the line. And that was my body. That was my health. I remember having to drink alcohol more to stay up in that 6th gear, right? That when you're expected to run at this high energy, if you ask anybody, you'll say, oh, that guy's high energy, very high energy. And I get called on because of my energy, right? But what about sometimes if I don't fucking want to be at high energy?
Yeah.
I'm fine. It's not like, Jay, are you okay? Are you okay? No, I'm good. I just don't feel like pouring my cup into your cup right now, because everyone expects me to perform at this 6th gear all the time. And sometimes I don't want to. Yeah. And you know what? That's okay.
I love that you just said that, because I'm a woman, so it's different. And I feel like it can become exhausting.
Yeah.
Like even Jesus, he's like, okay, disciples, I'm leaving. I got to go pray now. Yeah. I'm not pouring into you anymore. You'll be fine. And he literally vanished. And we're supposed to follow that. So that's okay. And it's so beautiful how you describe your journey and how you almost had this awakening that you were expecting others to meet you at that level. I do the same.
Yep.
I'm like, why didn't this happen? I would have done it that way. Or why are they not? I mean, not everyone sprints marathons and keeps going.
Exactly.
I hear you. And that is amazing that you had that reflection. I'm not at that level yet. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go on a men's retreat. But maybe there's something for me.
They might have a ladies one out there. So I totally agree with you. And it's just, I'm coming out of a different place, a different space, in a different perspective right now that I think's going to really get me, the team, and everything to that next level.
Yeah.
Because no one around me has done it yet. In my team, in my circle. So how can we do that? I need to be leading from the front. And what I was doing before is going to get good numbers.
Yeah.
It can make it happen, but it's not a marathon. It's not sustainable because I won't last.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key.
Yeah.
You've got to create an environment where you can thrive in and keep going and not have to rely on excess alcohol and 7 coffees in the morning.
Exactly.
And, you've got to have space to have you poured into and be whole, or you can't show up and lead. I love that. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about these community initiatives. Like, what is it that triggers you in your heart to give back?
Perfect. So definitely I'm big with the youth, right? At-risk youth. And the reason I'm so big with the youth, because I know at that stage in life, even from like 12 and 13, and it's probably even crazier right now because of social media and how much these kids can see and get exposed to at such a young age.
Yeah.
They have the ability to make decisions. Those decisions can affect their life forever. Sometimes there's stuff that can't be erased. And I want to get to them and get in front of them before that one decision gets made that they can never take back. So that's really where my heart stands and sits with them, is because I had made a couple bad decisions and I had made some shit that I'll pay for the rest of my life. And I never want somebody to go down that road as well, because society will count you out. But you're never going to get count out, young boy, young girl. You're never going to get count out.
Yeah.
That's why we got to keep rising and keep growing. And I want to be that light, that beacon of light, that brother that maybe they don't have, that mentor that they don't have, that they could call and lean on and be like, look at him. Mm-hmm. He was here. Mm-hmm. He did it. Yeah. It wasn't easy for him. But here's the road. Here's the path. Here's my number. Mm-hmm. Call me.
So it sounds like you're opening to like just being there as a coach for others.
100%. And and again, coach with, I don't want nothing from it. It just, I'm here. Mm-hmm. And that's my calling, I think. And as when I walked in here and like, you know, when I was talking to the gentleman at the front, I'm like, real estate has been great to me. And I love real estate. I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't know what else I would do in this world without real estate. I'm so forever grateful. Mm-hmm. But it's leading me up to something bigger. Yeah. I don't know exactly what yet. I don't know where that's going to take me, but I know there's a bigger calling for me in life. Mm-hmm. And that's the purpose that I'm pursuing right now and searching for. And the more I lean on my faith, the more it feels right of where I need to be. Mm-hmm. Like that's like just the emotion I feel in my cheeks when they bubble up, my eyes will water. I just feel at home. Mm-hmm. I feel safe. And it's practicing the word. And it's because that word and helping others and forgiving and loving, that's the legacy that gets left behind. No one gives a shit that you came in first. No one cares that you've sold hundreds of homes. Who cares? Because I don't care anymore. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
And that's the man I want to be when I eventually have kids that they're going to be looking up and they're like, that was my dad on the news. That was my dad doing that for those kids. That was my dad that helped that kid go to college. That's what I want to be remembered for. Mm-hmm. Real estate has just given me the ability to make great amount of money, which is beautiful. But now that's my job to give that back in other ways.
I love how clear you are. You've certainly been called.
Yeah.
It's clear. And I cannot wait to see all that you do. I think you've got God's heart and he's got yours. And the things that are ahead will be incredible. And real estate may just be the platform that you're going to spring off into what is next. And I know that pathway being so narrow, you almost can't see sometimes one step in front of the other, but you know you're being led in the direction. And I see that for you, and I'm very excited about it.
I appreciate that.
Is there anything that I have not asked you that you feel you're being told to say, or anything that you want to add?
I just want to talk to anyone out there that is listening, that is going through it, that does feel alone. You're not. You're not alone. And there are other people going through it as well. This is the time when we need to dig deep and do the inner work and the stuff that maybe we've been putting off. It's slower out there right now in the real estate industry. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm using that as a volume's just not changing hands. So what else can we be doing during this time? Well, we're mastering our craft. We're going deep. We're working within. We're working on stuff we've neglected. Is that our health? Is that our relationship? Is that the processes and systems in the business? Because now we do have the time. So you need to look at yourself in the mirror. And you can't use the excuse anymore, I don't have the time. You do have the time. And it needs to start within. Mm-hmm. Because you can't fill up anybody's cup if your cup's not full. So start small. Set the bar low and just try to win the day. If you're battling addiction, start the bar low. Just try to win the day. If that's smoking, start the bar low and just try to win the day. And get better and better and better. And with these small reps that I go back to, you're going to start training this muscle that you can do it. Get a week done, get 2 weeks done, and you're going to look back on a month and you're going to be like, I can do this. Take that momentum, take that feeling, hold it tight, protect your energy, and keep going. And you can do this. You can do this. I promise you.
Thank you. I have appreciated all your words, your wisdom, the walk you're on. If we were sitting here a year from now and you could like vision what needs to happen or will happen for you, what would you reflect on and tell me, this is what I see? This is where I'm going to be, and I will be so ecstatic about that.
I think a year from now, business is running great. It's in flow. It's handling itself. I'm more out of the trading, kind of still working with just, repeat and referrals, some people that I really groove with, so I can just really be in my flow state and enjoying what I like to do. But ultimately, I think I'm going to be on some type of stage. Mm-hmm. I think there'll be a stage that I will be talking and presenting, and going really deep, and peeling back layers that will shake the camera. And that's what I want to do, and share my full story of resilience to success.
I love it. I can see it. It'll happen. I'm going to vision that for you, and I believe God's going to make it happen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much for your time. I've loved having you on here. If you want to just share with the group, like where to follow you,
Perfect.
where to find out more about you.
So you could follow me on Instagram, jmcnabb.torogroup. That's the best way to communicate with me because I run it organically. So I'm actually running that account. So message me, DM me. I'm an open book. Again, we didn't get into too much of real estate, which I loved about that today, because that's what I do every day. But I'm an open book. If you need help with any processes, systems, lead gen, what's working, what's not working, reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help. Love collaborating. I'm in the Simcoe County region, so that's Barrie, Innisfil, Oro, Springwater. If you need any help up on that end, real estate-wise, I got all the pockets on lock. So let me know. Be willing to help you out. Let's connect on Instagram. Peace and love.
Amazing. Thank you, Jay. And thank you for listening to the Real Stories podcast, and look forward to seeing you again.